Welcome to the After the License channel. I'm your host, Jeff Bittner. Today we're going to be talking about the 6 things they don't tell you about selling real estate when you go to get your real estate license. If you're new to the After the License channel, we put out content weekly to help real estate agents, new and experienced, build their business. So consider hitting the subscribe button below or check out our podcast. Just search After the License. Okay, so the 6 things they don't quite tell you about selling real estate. I know with TV and Netflix these days, it can make selling real estate seem like this glamorous thing. Everyone's selling multi-million-dollar properties and driving around $250,000 cars, but unfortunately that's just not the case. And so I've talked to a lot of new agents and they get their license and they're all excited and there's all these things they didn't think about. So that's the point of this video. Let's touch on those in the beginning so that when you're thinking about getting your license, you understand what you're signing up for and what you're getting into. That way when you actually get that license, you're excited, you're ready to go, and you have your expectations set at a certain level. So the first thing they don't tell you when you get your real estate license is the cost of it all. Yes, there's a cost to take classes, get your license, pass the test, all of that fun stuff. But even after you pass your test, there are other costs associated with hanging your real estate license and ultimately selling real estate. Not only do you have to get your license, but you have to sign up with an association. You have to pay board dues. You have to sign up with a brokerage. All of these things, and the MLS, let's not forget the MLS. All of these things can cost several $100s. So just those pieces, MLS, association, signing with a brokerage, and the fees you paid for getting your license, you can be several $1,000s in the hole at that point, right? $1,000, $2,000. Every association in every state's different. Some are more expensive. Every brokerage is different, so some are more expensive. But expect $1,000, $2,000 right out the gate just to kind of hold your license somewhere. Now, there are costs above and beyond that as well, right? We have to be able to have a lockbox key. We have to drive a reliable car. We have to have a working cell phone, right? There's things we have to do to be able to operate our business. Now, again, we should know those costs up front, but we should also realize that to start any business costs money. The way I heard it put once is if you went to go start a Subway franchise, you'd have to spend several $100,000. Well, with real estate, you get to start your own business. Is there a cost? Yes, but it's much less than some other businesses out there. So make sure you understand those costs in the beginning and start to save up for those. You can't just pass your test and expect to be able to go sell a house tomorrow. There are other fees and things associated with that piece. The second thing they don't tell you about selling real estate is your day-to-day work isn't dictated by somebody. And for a lot of folks, this is actually a positive. This is why they get their real estate license. This is why they want to work for themselves, is they don't want someone telling them what to do every day. But the simple fact is people struggle with this. People who have worked jobs day in and day out and are told what to do for 8 hours a day, when they actually go to work for themselves, struggle with sometimes the ability to be organized and be diligent and be intentional with their time. I heard a quote from my good friend Brian Colhane, and he put it like this: the best thing about real estate is you can golf every day. And the worst thing about real estate is you can golf every day, right? It's basically that saying of no one's going to tell you what to do anymore. When you run your own business, you are the adult in the room. And so if you're a go-getter and you're a type A personality, this works great, right? You're motivated, you know what you have to tackle, and you go out and you tackle it. If that's not your first inclination, that's okay. Just recognize that you might struggle with that. No one is going to quote unquote fire you if you don't lead generate every day, but that paycheck's not going to come in, right? That closing's not going to happen. So at the end of the day, you have to realize that when you go and you work for yourself, and you get your real estate license, there's going to be no one kind of forcing you to do anything. You get to make all the decisions, but you just have to be prepared for the positives of that and the negatives. Now, again, there are some situations you can put yourself in. If you feel like that's going to be a concern to you, you can go and you can join a real estate team. You can partner up with a mentor. There are some ways to combat that, but just know that that is a struggle for some folks. Okay, the third thing you need to understand when you get your real estate license is income can be inconsistent and even non-existent when you first start out. So I know that's kind of two lessons in one, but that's going to be ultimately our number 3 here, right? So money in the very beginning is going to be non-existent. It's going to take time for you to make money in the real estate industry. A lot of agents, when they first start out, don't have their first sale for 6-9 months even, right? Now, again, you can do some things to combat that, but you should prepare for that. That in the very beginning, you might go a little bit without actually having a closing, without actually making some decent money. So when you get into real estate, consider having a side hustle, consider having a part-time job, consider doing something full-time while you think about and plan and work on your real estate business. Or before you dive into real estate full-time, prepare and have at least 6 months savings so that you can go into it feet first and really dive in, but not be stressed about that next paycheck. So consider having 6 months of savings or some other kind of side hustle to kind of get you through that initial period. Again, real estate is just a long-term thing. Even if you found a buyer today that was willing to work with you, that process of them actually buying a house can take 30, 60, 90 days. In a lot of parts, we are dealing with a crazy market right now. It might actually take 3, 4, 5 months to actually find something and close it. So just understand that it can be non-existent, that income piece in the very beginning. And then the second part of this is money can be inconsistent. And this is something agents really struggle with as well. Once you actually start to have some closings, it can be great, right? It can be a good chunk of money, maybe more than you're used to on a weekly or monthly basis, but that's not always going to be consistent, right? So that inconsistency is something that you're going to have to deal with and think through. Again, the best ways to combat that are keeping your budget really lean and budgeting and saving. When you actually get a sale, thinking about how can I stretch this out 2, 3, 4 months, right? Because in real estate, you might have 2 months without a sale, and then you might have a month where you sell something that makes you $10,000 or $15,000, where it feels like you're on top of the world, and then you might go with another month or 2 without another sale. So again, it's just not something that's really talked about when you're watching HGTV, when you're watching these Netflix shows, that real estate can be tough. The money at first can be inconsistent and even non-existent. So it's something you should prepare for in the beginning. The fourth thing that future real estate agents should understand is when you're in real estate, it is no longer a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. You are, in most cases, going to be on call during weird hours of the day and be working weird days of the week, right? Especially if you're used to a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. That's just not really how real estate works. If you think about it, if most people are working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, if they want to go buy a house, they have to look for houses outside of that time frame. So you might be showing houses Saturdays, Sundays, evenings. Again, not the worst thing in the world. You can get paid pretty nicely to do that, right? But it's something you should understand. And it's something when you're thinking about your real estate business, you should try and put some parameters around. Are you going to be taking certain days off? Are you not going to work Sundays? Are you going to not answer phone calls after 8 p.m.? Again, a personal decision based on how you want to run your business. But I've seen too many agents say, I'm going to answer any calls, all calls, no matter the day, the time, Christmas Eve, my birthday, and they end up getting burnt out. And again, it's something agents really struggle with because they don't necessarily realize or think about that when they're getting their license. They're used to their Monday through Friday, and real estate is just not that. So keep that in mind. as you get your license. The fifth thing that you have to understand when you get into real estate is you're going to have to sell people on your value. And that's the nicest way I can put that people are going to try and negotiate how much you make and even ask for some of that in return. Now, how you run your business is going to be 100% up to you, but for some agents, it can be a struggle when they don't think about every client or customer they meet. They are going to ultimately have to sell themselves and convey a message of this is the value I bring, this is how much I'm going to earn, and I am worth it. I deserve it. And the flip side is there's going to be a lot of consumers that you deal with that look at that and say, that's too much, or that's more than I'm willing to pay, right? And so when you get into real estate, you really have to be okay with not only selling yourself and selling your worth and selling kind of the value you bring, but you also have to have a tough skin and understand that people are going to be pretty bold and say, hey, are you willing to pitch in this? Are you willing to come down to this? And again, you're going to have to make those tough decisions. If you're the type of person who in your 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, have a tough time asking for a raise, then these are some things you're probably going to have to work through as you get into real estate. Again, not a deal killer, but just understand those are things you're going to encounter when you get into real estate. The final thing on the 6 things they don't tell you when you're getting your real estate license is clients and situations are going to let you down. Okay? Clients and situations are going to let you down. And what I mean by this is ultimately when you're in sales, not everything goes your way. And you really just don't quite understand it until you experience it yourself. You're working with a client for months on end and things are going great and you've built great rapport and you've shown them a bunch of houses and it looks like they're going to buy a couple things and maybe even write an offer on something. And then they end up going to a new build community without telling you and they buy something with someone else. Okay. These are just the things that happen in real estate. Or you work with some clients and things are going great and a deal falls through at the very last minute. Crazy things happen. Clients and situations let you down. Now, again, there's a lot of things you can do to combat those things and protect yourself from certain situations. But at the end of the day, life happens. And so when you're in sales, it's important to have thick skin and be okay with doing the right thing and letting the chips fall where they may. Can it be frustrating? Yes. Can it be exhausting? Yes. At the end of the day, is it worth it? Yes, if it works out and you put the time and you put the work in, right? But these are things that you need to think about and understand before you get into sales in general. Clients and situations are going to let you down even if they don't intend to. Okay, guys, that was the 6 things they don't tell you about selling real estate when you go to get your real estate license. Now, I know that seemed like a lot of negativity, but that was the point of this video, is to talk about the harsh truths so that when you're actually going to get your license, you understand and have those expectations so you can work to combat them. I'm going to talk about all of the great things about selling real estate in a future video, so look for that little card link or the link in the description to check that out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any positive content, insights from it, please give it the thumbs up and consider subscribing, and I'll catch you next time.